Hi there and good evening. I'm ending this week on a positive note and joining Dr. Goyal from Bahrain to talk about an interesting topic which joins many other topics that I've covered on this series. We've talked a lot about fashion brands and fashion brand development, and we try to contextualize each time the importance of local markets and their effect on local brand development or the application of global brands in local contexts. Moreover, I've had the chance to meet many people from across different markets, whether North American, African, we've been in Australia, European, like English and French, and we've talked a lot about brand development. We've been also talking specifically about fashion brands, and today I'm going to be continuing that topic, and I'll be talking about the fashion brand adoptions of new marketing tools. And we're going to be specifically talking about some virtual fashion tools, such as the virtual fashion shows and their appearances or focus after the pandemic. Anyway, I'm going to be joining in with Dr. Goyal, who's actually in Bahrain, and she's going to be talking to us about this beautiful world of fashion and fashion retail. And we're going to be, of course, talking about a general context, but also highlighting lots of local contexts and their importance today in local fashion brand, entrepreneurial brands, and their development. So let me just invite in Dr. Goyal and kick off with this live. And Dr. Goyal, I think we should be like joining in a minute. Yay! Hello.
Hi, hi, Dr. Ghalia. Hi, it's so good to
How
see
are
you.
you?
I'm
Me
okay.
too. Actually, this live has given me the opportunity to connect with so many people from different countries and different areas, which is beautiful, as we are like connecting together, but removing all of this geographical distance between us. Thank you for accepting to doing this live this evening with me. I have done a little introduction. However, I directly give the floor to you to introduce us to yourself and your career, your actual status today.
Thank you so much. And actually, I must appreciate the initiative that you have taken through this platform, Live with Ghalia. I think it is amazing. And when we started interacting with each other, uh, through our academic objectives, it was so exciting, first of all, to learn about you and your research and other areas and your expertise, your consultancy. And knowing about Live with Ghalia platform, I think it is amazing. It is, I really, really appreciate, and I must congratulate you for that, because it
Thank you
does
so
bring,
much.
I mean, really people from, as you have been talking, from different cities, different countries coming together and interacting with you. Thank you so very much. And so yes, I should be, I'm first of all, definitely I'm thank you so very much for inviting me today and making me part of Live with Ghalia. And I am really looking forward to this conversation between us. So
Thank you
I'm
so
Nidhi
much.
Goyal. Yeah, and yes, I'm an educator. I'm into academics since I think now almost for 15 years, and I'm a fashion enthusiast. Talking about my research areas, primarily my research areas and teaching areas are related to apparel design, production, retail, and even textiles and textiles finishing.
And that's really interesting because earlier, like before connecting to the live, I always have these ideas and questions I want to ask about. At first, when we were talking about academic programs related to fashion business, or fashion design, they were mostly restricted to European and North American countries. And now more and more in the Middle East and Gulf region, we are investing in such programs. And today we want people such as yourself who have the knowledge and expertise to be able to share them with future talents in the region. So how have your research been relevant to what you have taught and you are teaching today?
Well, I must say that research didn't just come to me. It came to me. I never thought of taking up my career in research. It came to me as one of the compulsory requirements of the master's degree. Yeah, and if I talk about it, my first research, which was on master's, was also about learning the new technologies which are coming up for the apparel industry. I'm talking about the year 2004 when I was doing my master's, and that was a time in India which was a time of post-quota era where India was coping up with the challenges of the post-quota regime, and how, as we are aware, that India is a hub of sourcing, and a lot of production happens in India. So apparel manufacturers and the exporters were trying their hard to meet the challenges of the post-quota era, because there were a number of like the duties, etc. That structure got changed significantly. Also, I don't mind sharing, like me being the eldest member of the family as a sibling, I always got the opportunity to be with my younger siblings as to support their academics. And if I reflect, I have always enjoyed it. And this must have happened because I've always had inclination towards academics or into the research as well, like interacting, being close to the people, and so that you can talk about it. Another milestone that I would like to talk to you about is my PhD project that I conducted with one of the biggest research group of India, which was Smita's Smart and it is a lab for smart materials.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, right, like it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes, yes.
So all of these components, like as a personality, as like your interest, your passion, with then how the environment is supporting you towards taking up your career, etc. Research indeed is challenging. I will not deny this fact, but at the same time, it is very interesting. As a researcher, we are always looking to understand a problem, and we are trying to find solutions. Academically, I'm from a textiles and clothing specialization, and I have been also expanding my interest towards retail, merchandising, even visual merchandising, and hence towards the consumer behavior. And this, again, my research project of PhD was on nanomaterials for self-cleaning textiles. So all in all, when we work on different aspects of different facets of the textiles and apparel industry, it does give you a broader understanding about the industry
Right,
that you're part of. Yeah.
right. And this is really enriching because in research, we tend to always focus on a very specific topic. But we see that the industry needs sometimes that we go back to have a larger view or a
Yes.
360 view on everything that is happening. And I'm glad that you mentioned the importance of the retail environment to the fashion industry, and even that we're studying maybe very specific contexts or areas in fashion. The retail industry is really important. We're going to be contextualizing our talk today a little bit about the environment and the fashion retail industry.
Yes.
And what you're going to be giving us also are specifics related to the market in which you are living today. So going back to this fashion industry, we have seen that the past decade was really turbulent, like lots of changes had happened. So, in your opinion, what are the major threats that the fashion industry all in all is facing today?
or
Actually,
opportunities, if we might
the key
say.
word, which is very much valid and applicable for the fashion industry, is the turbulent. The fashion industry, as you just said, has always been going through the turbulent times. It has been changing. It has been absolutely dynamic. If you remember, Dr. Ghalia, when we learn about evolution of the fashion industry, we go back to 1990s. Yeah, and during the 1990s, we saw that there was actually an explosion of the fashion consumption and the production. The merchandise, the products were available at an extremely cheap price. The cost price reduced significantly. There were flexible network of production. The products were available at very low price, and
Right.
there came the birth of fast fashion. Yeah, and with this fast fashion, new challenges and new threats actually came up that fashion industry has been dealing with. Then came 20th century, and then we learn about that how the retail changed with mall set up, with the department stores, and the entire retail landscape, started changing. Also, with the internet and online penetration, the entire retail structure also changed significantly. And then comes the coronavirus pandemic time, and it changed, or the tendency just changed significantly. So the fashion industry, if you agree with me, has been changing and has been affected by the environmental factors and also causing the environmental factors and environmental issues. So as we are talking about the overconsumption, so the fast fashion, so the parallel is the overproduction. And as fashion industry, it is said that as per the data, we contribute to 10% of the global carbon emission. So which is a lot, and we are responsible for it. Secondly, because of this huge production, we are giving a lot of stress on wastewater, and we are generating a lot of wastewater for dyes, for processing, for washing, so on and so forth. At the same time, we know that it is not even for even a cotton crop takes a lot of water, and even a garment that we keep buying, etc., takes a lot of years, and it stays there in the landfills. So these are the issues. These are the detrimental or adverse effects that fashion industry is causing to the environment. And to deal with these causes and these problems, actually, our brands and the international players are also coming up with certain solutions as well. So sustainability is one of the agenda, looking up to the technologies, looking up to the new technology and the digitization. I think these are the three fronts on which fashion industry players are trying to deal with these threats and the challenges.
And facing these changes in the industry and all of the things that has happened and have been happening, and might as well say that are still happening today, there is a changing consumer. 20 years ago, I believe you and I were those consumers who were acquainted to mass consumption, and it was a model that we have absorbed, like going and buying and then throwing and then rebuying. And suddenly we're growing into a new era of responsibility, and everything that has happened in the environment is also shifting consumer behavior. Now, what are, in your opinion, also the shifts in consumer behavior vis-a-vis or regarding fashion brands today?
When we're talking about the consumer behavior, there is a very interesting term that I would like to share with you, and maybe you are aware about it. It's prosumer. So prosumer is the combination of the two terms, producer and the consumer. So today, we see a combined consumer, like a consumer today is a producer as well as a consumer. So what does it mean? The consumer is very well.
I hope that there is no cut. Dr. Goyal. Dr. Goyal, I think we had a freeze. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
think we had a freeze. Sorry, we were talking about the prosumer. And I think we're
Are you
going
with
back
me, Dr.
live again.
Ghalia?
Yes, now I'm back. I think there was a cut
No
with the
problem.
internet.
So I was talking about how our consumer is changing today, and I shared a term which is prosumer, which is a combination of a producer and a consumer. Hereby, the consumer is not just going out and buying and using it. Of course, we have that set of consumer as well. So, because of the internet penetration in the fashion industry, where the let's say the brands are photographically keeping and showcasing their first set of collection, so the consumer is a prosumer, can tell, what do I want, so can customize the fit, can customize the fabric, can customize even the design as per their choice. Yeah. Another kind of a behavioral change that we are seeing is, which is related to this prosumerism, is online bespoking, which is also quite the same. So as we are seeing that, because of, again, the fashion industry has been rethinking and has been adopting the digitization and has been adopting to the new technologies and the changes that are happening around, and has been educating our customer as well. So the customer is now moving towards these technology of prosumer technology and the bespoke online. I mean, gone are the days when we would, like you and us 20 years back, millennials, would go to the tailor and get it done. No, we don't do that. Rather, online, we look at the designer label and we interact. We do on live chat, we give our feedback to the designer, and we keep getting our design customized and achieve it. So
Yes.
we are seeing that there is a consumer shift. And also, yes, as I said, because of this fast fashion, it's not only the environment activists are talking about it, but even the brands are also talking about the issues that we are, causing, the threats that we are causing to the environment. So the consumer is also very well aware and is also favoring slow fashion.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about this in a minute. I wanted to ask if this shift in the consumer mindset and the retailer mindset is also encouraging smaller brands to establish on the retail market. Because a decade ago, it was also difficult for smaller brands like to kickstart on the retail market without a lot of difficulty, or might I say without having like a moment of a pure luck and starting their journey. Today we are looking at much smaller brands and much smaller businesses that are offering more personalization, as you said. What are your thoughts on these businesses today?
Indeed, I think gone are the days when startups was like a real challenge, and it was like a fear factor. And gone are the days when one would be thinking about launching the label or the brand in the industry.
Yes.
Again, I think thanks to the digitization and the upcoming technologies and the sourcing and even the technologies like, bespoke tailoring, it has become very easy, and the relationship between the consumer and the seller has actually changed. So all of this is actually supporting the local brands and the small brands. And as I said, of course, during the pandemic time, it also came up with some opportunities for the local brands, because everyone was going through certain financial trauma because the losses that were happening around. And during that time, it did give an opportunity to the local brands to, working on small scale and the individual pieces. And even the consumer was happy to have maybe the things at the reduced price and maybe at the good quality.
Yes, and especially that there was this proximity factor. I mean, those small retailers who are just our neighbors, our next door neighbors, you know, and who are living around us. And I believe that there was also a factor related to transport and
Yes.
having personnel coming from other areas or commuting versus people who are working on the spot. There are also lots of cultural and local specifics related to the fashion industry. I mean, even if we've talked about global brands and we could name a few, those who are willing or who are willing to open in a market, such as a European brand going to the Gulf or the Middle East or to Africa, they had to adapt to the local market and to its local culture. So, how important is that local consumer, and what does it have as an effect over the brand that operates on that market?
It is very important, you know, when you as a brand would like to launch into a particular region or particular community, we always start with a market research. And it is so very important to understand about the local consumer, right? If I talk about the example of Bahrain, Bahrain is a small country, but it is extremely large in reputation. It is extremely large in heritage and extremely large in traditional values as well. It has got 3 UNESCO World Heritage Site over here. Even though we see a lot of Western influence over here in the fashion industry and the clothing, we see all international brands operating over here. But at the same time, the traditional values and the traditional clothing are very much preferred by the consumer. It has got its own space. So as you have said, you know, when we are trying, or any other brand which tries to incorporate or launch, trying to get into a new area or new region, the consumer definitely plays an important role. So again, you know, I would reiterate on the fact that bespoke clothing, you know, in terms of, be it online or in terms of face to face, is definitely a good model, or maybe a successful model, especially in the region where, you know, we see that the influence of the cultural influence and the cultural values are extremely important. And you know that yeah, of course, that becomes extremely important for the consumer as well as for the brand to inform about.
If we were teaching, and if I was teaching, like developing a fashion brand for young designers, the first thing that I could think of is related to profitability and cost.
Yes.
With a bespoke fashion or smaller brands, we are always faced with the fear again, or the question of profitability. I mean, how many do I need to sell to sustain and to pay myself and maybe the other two people working with me a salary? Is this business model changing today? Are customers more, maybe, if we use the term, excited or willing to spend money with those smaller designers or couturiers or ateliers?
Why not? And thanks to the social media and the increasing Instagrammability, you know, with
Yes.
you know, the local, I will not say, I will say the regional designers as well as the local brands and the labels are actually taking advantage of. Well, as if I'm a startup, if I'm a small scale designer and trying to launch myself in a region, especially with the bespoke model, yes. Uh, I get ready, I'm ready with my one set of collection, get my photographs done, and with my Instagram and the social account, I display and showcase to my consumer. Number one, so my purpose of creating the brand awareness is done. I am live chatting with my consumer. That means I can talk to them, I can discuss, I can maybe give more alternatives to the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, some sort of negotiation and the customization can also easily be done. I think as a consumer, as a small brand, we have been talking about changing marketing tools as well. So social media, or let's say digital marketing, is one of the now. It's an era of digitization, and we cannot deny the fact that you have to be it a small brand or a big brand, you have to be there on social media all the time. So if you are there, and with, of course, expanding your reach and keeping your Instagram account or the social media account or Snapchat, if you are being active, I think it does make a difference, because eventually it is more about reaching to the correct customer, reaching to your target customer, and delivering what do they want. So if the consumer is okay, even if I get the best of the quality, best of the design that fits me well, and I look as I want to, I would not go for, maybe any other expensive brand also. So
Right.
this model, yes, definitely is a successful model over here. And I think it should be, valid for other regions as well.
And physical retail is still really important. And I believe that most of small retailers, as much as big retailers, need physical affirmation, either from time to time or all the time. Like, there are lots of solutions today to going into physical retailing, such as pop-up stores, which I love, or
Yes.
temporary stores, or seasonal stores. But on the Bahraini market, are there also like specifics related to these smaller brands going into physical retailing, especially in malls or bigger shopping centers?
Yeah, there is, I think, a balance between the two kind of setups, in terms of retail. We do see the designers, of course, are available, are visible through their stores. But, while talking to a number of designers over here, they also do not deny the fact that, yes, a preference is to be given to the digital store as well.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And the pandemic, as we said, has maybe given a lot of acceleration to the brand's development on the digital sphere. And with that, during those 2 years of pandemic, there has been a need to affirm on the digital sphere. So what are the marketing tools that fashion brands adopted to keep themselves alive and in contact with the target audience?
I think a lot has been talked about, like coronavirus pandemic brought, of course, a certain positive and opportunities to the various industry. And fashion industry also started rethinking about the marketing tools. So if you remember, like it was the first fashion week, I think the Shanghai Fashion Week, that was launched completely, live stream in the early 2020. So they showcased the Spring Summer 2020 collection as a live stream fashion show. So the market, when we are talking about marketing tool, one of the most important marketing tool is indeed fashion show. And the attempt was made by when we all got, restricted to our homes and there are no physical shows happening. Shanghai Fashion Week came up as first show, which was completely virtual. Now here, the virtual means it was live streamed on the site. Yeah, but at the same time, we do see that the New York Times reported that there were, I think, if I'm not wrong, around 11 million viewers, and this, the merchandise was available to be bought online then and there, and it was a huge success. Then in May 20, we saw designer Hanifa. She became a hit, on social media, where she literally showed the virtual show to us. So the garments were virtual, and the 3D garments were walking on the ramp. And everyone, as a consumer, we looked at the virtual show, the virtual garment. But of course, I believe the garments were available as well as garments, not virtual garments, on her app and on her website as well. So
Right.
when we are talking about, the marketing tools, of course, for the fashion industry, we have different kinds of tools definitely available, but fashion show is one of the marketing tool or one of the tool for creating awareness in order to reach the consumer. This is how the fashion show started in 1940s, when the buyers and the consumer can come in contact with each other. It became a platform. Now with this pandemic, and as I said, with the digitization, the fashion industry has started changing its ways. So we are seeing how virtuality is peeping in the in the in making and promoting the fashion shows at large, and
Right.
reaching out to a greater consumer base. So this is one of, I think I really would like to highlight that this is one of the marketing, this is one of the major effect that we saw of digitization in marketing. Other than that, as I mentioned before, that it has given a huge opportunity to the startups where they can just photograph their first collection, get interesting videos done, and then make it available for the consumer to choose from.
Right. And with these tools helping brands externalize to the maximum, there are also adoption, I believe, of smaller tools such as using WeChat or WhatsApp or other direct messaging tools where the brand gets in touch one-on-one with the consumer, right? But interestingly enough, and you could confirm it, these one-on-one tools have been the daily consumption patterns of many underdeveloped countries, such as in the Middle East, or maybe in the Gulf region, and a lot in Asia and India. Do you confirm that? And the pandemic suddenly made those one-to-one tools like a big thing. What could you say about
Indeed,
that?
I mean, when you mentioned about WhatsApp, it didn't really occur to me as a new tool because we are so used to
Yes.
WhatsApp and WeChat and other options that are available. Of course, for example, if I have to buy something and I don't feel like visiting a store, I would just get in touch with the store staff, the store manager on WhatsApp, maybe on video call. The sales staff will show me the store and it would also help me in buying. And this has actually come in a very automatic way.
Yes.
As we are moving ahead in this, as we are moving away from, or it's like a transitional phase. So we all have adopted this technology and we are so accustomed and used to it that it is now going in a very natural way to both the sides, from the consumer
Yes.
as well as to the
And the
side.
retailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And in line with this comment I'm seeing in front of me, we're saying that are people buying less or are people buying differently today and after the pandemic?
I think both of these statements are quite valid. It depends again on the merchandise category, cannot be generalized. We are indeed buying differently in a way that we are shopping is actually no more restricted to the brick and mortar setup. We are very open and we are confident in online shopping. For some of us, maybe online shopping seems to be very nothing new about it, but for some consumers it is still challenging. Thanks to the big business and big business sites like Net-a-Porter and Namshi and Onas, which ASOS, which have been giving a lot of confidence to the consumer on to do online shopping. Consumer today is doing luxury shopping as well online. Farfetch is one of the sites where people are buying luxury as well, and they're okay, and they are giving certificates, etc. So yes, we are buying differently. Are we buying less or more? It actually depends upon how much you want to buy. But data does show that during this time, the shopping, the sale of luxury brands actually increased significantly. One factor that normally is associated now with the luxury shopping is the sustainability. If I have a certain amount of money, for example, like I would go for gold shopping instead of I would buy one piece of one gold bracelet instead of buying five costume jewelry or five bracelets. Yeah. So similarly, if consumer is investing in a luxury brand, So that would lead to a sustainable approach as well, instead of buying, numerous fast fashion pieces. So
Right.
yes, we are buying differently and we are buying different things as well. So yes, the trend is also changing, and that's another topic, when we talk about how the consumer trend is changing in terms of their likes and dislikes towards the merchandise.
And the term sustainability has opened up our conversation in the beginning, and this is the time to link sustainability with purchases from a consumer point of view, but as well from a brand and a brand retail point of view. And today, do you believe that brands are being sustainable in the process of designing and delivering their products, as well as presenting them in their retail spaces?
Sustainability definitely, as I said before, also is not only being talked about environmentalist. Even the fashion brands are talking about sustainability, and they are trying their best to achieve that sustainability factor in the designing, development, production, retailing, as well as to the distribution. Uh, in the COP26 that happened in the last year, a new fashion charter was signed. Excuse me. A fashion charter was signed by 130 brands, 130 big brands as well, including LVMH. And it said that they are committing to reduce the carbon emission to half by 2030 and maybe zero by 2050. And this is actually a very big initiative and a big step towards achieving the sustainability at a global level. We do see brands like, be it fast fashion brand or be luxury brand like Gucci, etc., or H&M. They are taking a number of initiatives in their designing and development and the production and the distribution practices towards sustainability. For example, we have been seeing one of the fashion show by Balenciaga became very popular, and it was a hit on YouTube, where actually it was the same model, the virtual model, which was not virtual model, it was a model wearing the new collection, and that same model was repeating. It was a very interesting show. So brands indeed, for example, as we had discussed in terms of marketing, are making use of these technologies instead of investing into huge shows as well. For designing and development, yes, the technologies like body scanning are being used, so that we are not getting into a lot of waste production, especially when the sampling is done and the number of samples are being produced. Mm-hmm. So we have to admit that the fashion industry and the players today trying their best, and they are conscious. They are trying to achieve sustainability in whichever way, and hopefully it will going to work for us.
Hopefully. I mean, we have to believe in the bright future of fashion.
Yes.
Can we take some time to highlight some specifics related to the consumption in Bahrain? And in your opinion, if you have compared like global markets and global consumer behavior versus the local market, what are the major things that you could observe and tell us about?
Well, as the fashion industry in Bahrain is concerned, we see international brands playing very well over here. They have a huge demand. We see the mall culture, which started in 2000s, but it has been there, and there is a huge demand for international brands. Even the fast fashion brands are operating successfully over here. At the same time, in parallel, as I said, that Bahrain is extremely large, I believe, and has got values and the traditional culturally rooted. We do see the traditional wear is also in huge demand over here. So yes, we do see in terms of the merchandise availability and in the retail setup, we do see the Western wear as well as the traditional wear being available. In terms of the retailing, mall culture is extremely popular, of course, considering the environmental conditions also. Other than that, there are souks that are also there, and we do enjoy going in souk in the evening, like Manama souk and other souk, where we do see other kinds of merchandise also available. Pop-up stores definitely are very, very much popular in the malls as we see around. We do see small, shops which are primarily running during the evening time are also there. Online shopping is coming along very well, and not only the big business, like as I said, Namshi or Onas and other regional business sites, but also the local and the small brands from the region who are actually doing very well. And I would like to mention that a few designers are taking the name of Bahrain and going out and showcasing their designs even at a global level. So yes, it is indeed at an expansion stage and doing promisingly quite well. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
And in terms of consumption, do you feel that there is a generational difference between the young generation favoring online shopping and the more mature generation favoring physical shopping? Or is it today a global phenomenon to juggle between online and offline shopping?
Well, it is giving me a thought to do a research on. But with my personal experience, indeed, the younger generation, Generation X, Y, Generation Millennials, and even the younger generation, they are they enjoy definitely online shopping a lot. But talking about the elder generation, I think it may not be the appropriate time for me to comment on it, because I really have limited experience about, what is the consumer behavior and the consumer shopping behavior of the elder generation over here.
Right. Okay, but it's interesting because I'm thinking out loud, and it's interesting to
Yeah, it is
understand
interesting.
whether. And a final thought. Oh, a comment from Hiba. Gen Z in France like physical shopping too. Yeah, I mean it's really interesting because most of us were really keen on looking at the younger generation and their appetence for social media shopping and online shopping, whereas we're finding that in Europe at least, and this is part of Hiba's research, they really like physical shopping and they
Yeah.
enjoy going to the physical store. But what I wanted also to ask about is whether the shopping malls in Bahrain are adding events or other things like initiatives to draw in people and keep them there to spend more time and more shopping within that mall or
Yes,
department
we do
store.
see number of actually activities and initiatives being organized by the malls over here. For example, like in one of the events that we participated, that the mall would come up with an open area, and where the designers, artists, or anyone for that matter, who somebody is like in resin art or doing interiors and all of those kind of workshops can easily be conducted by the artist, and which is welcome to the community. There
Mm.
are other events, for example, the like as we see, like the launching events for the brands are very popular in order to have and keep keep promoting the footfall in the mall, which is indeed there. During the Holy Ramadan time, we did see a number of events happening, especially in the evening time. We do see promotional activities also, by the brands. And it is interesting to see, we do have, I think, a large consumer base of fragrance in Bahrain. So a number of pop-up stores you would see around who are, promoting their fragrance brands as well. So promotional events, in a way, yes, keep happening, and it does encourage consumer, towards and create awareness about the brand. Yes, it does help.
Oh, thank you so much. I believe that I have spent my time and the number of questions that I wanted to ask you. And thank you for answering all of them and for your valuable insights. Are there any other ideas that we did not talk about and that you would like to share at the end of this talk?
I think we all are, in our own capacity, we all are consumers, we all are researchers, and we all are definitely important part of this fashion industry. Yeah. So we all have responsibility, and just towards the end, that everyone's action will going to make a difference. So as we are talking about the sustainability, do think about it, like what can we do, can we reuse, can we remend, can we give away, can we buy less, etc. That's a food for thought that I would like to give to the attendees over here. I think it would be interesting if we can start thinking about it. And secondly, look for the new interesting ways the brands are trying to reach to us, you know, be it NFTs or metaphors, etc., that we couldn't really talk today. Maybe in the upcoming shows you will be listening from Dr. Ghalia about it. But yes, fashion industry is also not, you know, behind, and we do see a lot of changes happening in this industry. So thank you so very much, Dr. Ghalia, for inviting me today. I had a great time, and I just enjoyed thoroughly discussing and talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your beautiful insights and comments. And thank you for everyone who took the time of staying with us during the live. Just to tell you and everyone who joined a little bit late that the live will be available on IGTV and later on YouTube, so that you can access it at your convenience. Thank you so much, Dr. Goyal, and looking forward to researching more on the market
Yes.
with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone, and thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank
Take
you so
care.
much. Bye.